Welcome to the Inside Texas press conference reaction. Steve Sarkisian just got done with his Thursday Zoom. I'm Joe Cook. That's Evan Beath. We're going to talk about it 15 minutes or so, some interesting insights on the program before they head to Dallas. So before we get going, make sure you like this video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. If you've not done so yet, subscribe to Inside Texas. Join for just $1. That's that first link in our description. And if you want to do a little fancy phone work, whether you're watching on your TV or tablet or computer, scan that QR code up in the corner. Looking forward to seeing y'all over there. Always a fun time this part of the season, this part of the week leading up to the Red River game. And of course, make sure you go to Texas Live tomorrow, starting at 11. Oklahoma Breakdown with Gabe Eichert and Teddy Lehman. Then Eric, Ian, and I will be on the main stage at Texas Live, in between Globe Life and Globe Life. Will be right before Mac Brown and Barry Switzer. All this is being put on by the Bear Bryant Award, the American Heart Association. Some great times there tomorrow. So come see us. We'll be on at noon. We'll be talking about the game. We'll be talking about some of the great things the Bear Bryant Award does. Should be a lot of fun. Can't wait to see y'all there. And of course, hang out a little bit after. We'll be there as well. So Evan, Sark just got done talking with his Thursday Zoom. And I feel like with a lot of these, he repeats the same thing, and he's got a pretty good script. And when you're available to the media 3-4 times a week, that makes sense. But he did say something about how his team is approaching this particular game that caught my eye, and as well kind of caught your ear too.
Yeah, and it wasn't the scripted part. It was literally his opening statement to it that he can come prepared with without a question for it. He said that this really isn't business as usual for the Texas Longhorns, which is so different from what we've been hearing from Sarkisian for past however long you want to say, as long as he's been a part of this Texas culture, is that he's usually saying every game is go 1-0. Every week is the same. You're always just trying to beat the opponent in front of you. But he knows what this game means to fans, players, everyone involved in the Oklahoma and Texas sphere of things. So he knows that not only that, but this team has to win every game from here on out. It is 1-0 every week, and it is a national championship every week for this team, because if they lose any of the remaining games, they are out of playoff contention. So just the overall Red River rivalry is so important to Sarkisian and his players, and it seems like he's maybe acknowledging that a little bit more publicly than he has in the past. And that's something you like to hear from your coach, saying, hey, we know what this game means to all of you who care a lot about this team, but also to us. They need to win this game, and he knows it.
Yeah, I feel like that's okay to say it's not business as usual, because business as usual has 3-2 with some jagged games against some lesser teams. Like, it's just, if it's business as usual, then you're just kind of preparing the same way that you had been over the course of the past few weeks. We know that's not really something that can continue, especially against a good defense like Oklahoma's. And because Oklahoma has that good defense, there's a lot of focus on the offensive line and a little bit on the run game. But multiple offensive line questions, a lot of them reflecting around, the guard positions. Neto got a question asked about him. Cole Hudson got a question asked about him. Nate Kibble even had a question asked about him. And Sark was pretty consistent in what he's looking for. And I used that word right there for a specific reason, because that's the one Sark kept on using too.
Yeah, you're still my lead up. I was just about to use that word consistency, because that's what Sarkisian's looking for from his players, and he's never going to say, this player is not doing enough of something in practice. But when you have people directly asking about Neto Meazulu, that he's going to talk about maybe what he might be doing a little bit wrong that's keeping him off the field, and that's why he used the word consistency quite a lot, and especially with offensive line. He's told us before that when you're looking at an offensive lineman, they could be assignment sound and doing great plays 80% of the time, but that 20% where they're doing poorly, it's going to ruin your team a game. And I think that assignment soundness that we've reported on before, and just you having the proper fundamentals and techniques, which is another direct quote from Sarkisian, is maybe what's holding Neto Meazulu back from being a starting left guard on this team. And that's why we reported that maybe it's going to be someone different again this week. But people also asked about Hudson. Sarkisian pretty much said, yes, we've tried him at guard. Nothing more than that. And then also Nate Kibble, a similar thing, strong player. Sarkisian likes what he can do for this team. Probably will get a chance to play at some point this year, but it doesn't sound like those are the three guys that are going to be playing left guard this week.
Yeah, it seems like it's going to be a pretty Nick Brooks heavy game. May see some more Stroh, and it gets frustrating. We see what we see 12, 13, whatever, how many times a year. There's so many things in practice that we're unable to see that, we rely on our sources to tell us a little bit about. We rely on Sarkisian to provide as much info as he'd like to provide. But it's just I can understand all the frustration stemming from that position, especially when what we see on Saturdays is what we see. But at this point, they feel like what they're going to get out of Stroh and Brooks primarily might be a little bit better than what they're getting from Umeozulu. And of course, that doesn't shield them from any sort of blame. Like that's a fourth year guy. You would expect that they'd
Yeah.
be able to get him ready to go and get him ready in a way to where he's more than serviceable. That he's a positive for the team. Of course, there's some on the player. It's not a one. It's not just one man doing everything. The players got to react as well too. But that's why they call him coach. Got to coach him up, and does not seem as if that process has gone to the level that they all want for Neto Umeozulu. And that's why you get a frustrating product with some of the other guys that they see on Saturday. Before we keep going, got to show some love to our sponsor. When you rep your team, don't stop at the jersey. Dollar Shave Club's collegiate razor handles combine grooming with glory, letting students, grads, and fans show their school spirit and style. From the sink to the stadium, shave with school pride. Visit dollarshaveclub.com today and grab your college razor handle and hook them. Something Sark really focused on over the course of his, quick little availability is that Oklahoma offense. A lot of air raid principles from Ben Arbuckle. That's really his calling card. Surprise, surprise, a Washington State offensive coordinator used the air raid. But he talked a little bit about what not only Ben Arbuckle does a little differently, but also a little bit of the added nuance that someone like John Mateer, if he's able to go, questionable, all that. We're going to find out Saturday at 2:30 if he's able to go. But something that John Mateer adds to that air raid offense that maybe is a little bit of a evolution of the system compared to when the old pirate Mike Leach was running it.
Yeah, there's a ton of mutual respect for Sarkisian and Arbuckle as play callers. And yeah, like you mentioned, Sarkisian brought up the name Mike Leach in this because that is where that air raid principle comes from. That's something that is really popular in the college game because of what Mike Leach was doing over at Washington State, among other stops. So yeah, Arbuckle is going to be a future college football head coach, but right now he is commanding one of the more efficient offenses, despite maybe some lack of quality play at the offensive line and maybe not game breakers at receiver. But that air raid offense is going to spread you out, get you going over top. But what makes it a little different with Arbuckle and Mateer is that they've really honed in on the QB run game to get you positive yards and either first down to kind of catch you off guard, get you 5 when you might be thinking about over top, and especially on third and short. I think Sarkisian joked about how sometimes Mike Leach would be in 3rd and 1 and he'd still be dropping back 5 yards and airing it out downfield because maybe they're going to go for it on 4th down. But Arbuckle and Mateer specifically, and it's going to be shown with Michael Hawkins too if he's the one who goes out and plays. Those are guys that are going to be able to get you yardage on 3rd down and short, and that's something that Texas has to account for because it's either that or they're going to try to take the top off your defense, and that's a hard kind of duo to go after because as short of a game as possible and as deep of a game as possible at any point in time, which is why Arbuckle is such a well regarded offensive coordinator.
Yeah, we look at the way Mike Leach ran offense, and for the most part, there was a couple times when he's like, "Oh, I got an O line, I can do some stuff here." But for the most part, throwing it 50, sometimes even 60 times a game, relying on the short passes to make up for the run game and things like that. And over time, the system evolved. I think Arbuckle kind of comes from the Zach Kitley tree. Where is he at? FAU now. He was the Texas Tech offensive coordinator for a while. I think he was Texas Tech's offensive coordinator the last time the Longhorns went to Lubbock, and maybe even when they came up in 2023. And a lot of evolution in that air raid has added a little bit more running the football to the menu, but it's still going to be pass happy. It's still going to have a lot of just throwing it. And the wrinkle can be the quarterback run game just because that horizontal, stresses that the system provides for on a lot of defenses. Well, that's pulling guys out. And then you have the +1 with the quarterback run. And that's something we've seen, Lincoln Riley would do it every now and then, but we've seen Kitley do it. I mean, that 4th down game in 2022, we all remember, unfortunately, all too well, with with John Mateer. Now with even Michael Hawkins, if that's the case, like that's just an added wrinkle that they've added to it. And there was also another big branch where you got the Bryles aspect of it, where it would just spread everybody so far out and run a lot more simple routes and lean into a power run game. And often Sark mentioned Jeff Lebby. They would use the quarterback. Bryce Petty had a lot of rushing yards during those big years at Baylor, and you even saw a little bit. There was a talent disadvantage that they tried to account for, but last year with Michael Van Buren, they would run him a little bit as well. And Lane Kiffin, he did it with Jackson Dart. He's kind of doing it with Trinidad Chambliss now.
Yeah.
Heupel did it some with Nico, and I think he's doing it a little bit with Joey. So it's just even so, like whether you're doing the wide splits, extreme pace thing like Bryles and Lebby do, or you're kind of doing some of the more conventional stuff like Arbuckle does with that the passing scheme, you're adding a little bit of a wrinkle in the run game. Everybody's kind of got their own unique run wrinkle to add in that game, and that's what makes it so difficult. And it's real interesting because Pete Kwiatkowski, up when he was at Washington, he faced Mike Leach so often every year in the Apple Cup. And if you look at some of the stats from those games, he just dominated them. He just made sure there was nowhere for them to go. But that's because it was a Mike Leach inspired, Mike Leach called passing attack. Now, some of the rules that maybe you want or that Pete Kwiatkowski used pretty often for those types of games, they're going to look a lot different for when they face Mateer or Hawkins and Arbuckle on Saturday.
Definitely. And I think about that 2016 team that Kwiatkowski coached at Washington that played against Mike Leach. And that was a team that had 4 second-round defensive backs, most notably Buda Baker, who's an all-pro in the NFL. And, you say maybe Texas doesn't have that, but if Malik Muhammad's healthy, then you can throw out a defensive back group that has a lot of NFL talent on the team. I think of him and Taft and Littleton, McDonald, all those kind of guys. So Texas does have the personnel on the defensive side of the ball to counteract if you want to play more of a dime scheme against this offense and say, hey, you're going to have to run the ball with a running back on us, which Florida did well. Is there Jaden Ball on this Oklahoma roster? Probably not. So Texas is going to have the answers. Sark did talk about how he likes it's almost fun for him to study these coaches and get to know who he's going to play against. And that goes hand in hand with Pete Kwiatkowski, who knows this scheme pretty well and how to defend against it. But you do wonder if Sark's going to take a few of the principles with the quarterback run game on 3rd and short that Arbuckle uses with Mateer, and maybe uses a little bit with Manning and spreads the defense out and uses his legs to kind of work as another blocker in the run game to get you a first down. And I'm just interested to see how these two coordinators go about this game. So that's going to be a big chess match.
We're getting closer and closer. It should be a lot of fun. Well, one way to get ready for the game is tomorrow from 11 to 1 over at Texas Live, in between Globe Life and Globe Life. Oklahoma Breakdown with Gabe Eichert and Teddy Lehman. They get going at 11. Inside Texas starts at 12. And then at 1 p.m., Mac Brown, Barry Switzer, 2 guys who have been honored by the Bear Bryant Award. Great stuff going on with that award with the American Heart Association. So come check us out at Texas Live. We'll be in that big middle area right under that main stage, kind of behind the main bar area. We'll be hanging out both before and after that game. Looking forward to seeing everybody there. So, of course, make sure you like the video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. We'll have stuff all week. We got Inside the Program tomorrow. We've got all pregame, postgame, Sunday stuff ready to roll. We'll have, Evan, you and I will have a post-game show right there on the field. Should be a lot of fun. And, of course, if you've not done so yet, go to Inside Texas. We'll have all our analysis there, win or lose on Saturday. We'll have all the latest injury reports, all more team notes. Eric dropped some on the offense earlier today. Should see some more on the rest of the team coming either tonight or tomorrow. Looking forward to seeing everybody over there. You can scan that QR code on the screen to sign up for just $1. Always a great time at Inside Texas. Looking forward to seeing you all over there. So, Evan, thank you so much. Thank you for watching. See you next time on the Inside Texas Football YouTube channel, powered by InsideTexas.com.